Alrighty, CNT125, we're working on our Subnet application lab. First thing, on D2L, I downloaded a copy of the direction page here, saved that to my system. I downloaded a copy of the packet tracer file we're going to use for this lab, and I actually already have that open and ready to go back here. So here is my copy of the Subnet application lab. There's the packet tracer file. I'm ready to rock and roll. Alright, in this lab, we are going to pretty much repeat the routing protocol lab we did before, but this time you're going to do your own IP scheme that we're going to subnet to fit this network. So it's going to give us a chance to apply what we've been doing in the subnet planning, subnet problems labs into a real router environment to see all these pieces come together and work. As I like to say, it's very, if everything works well, it's very uneventful. If we're having trouble with subnetting and we're getting numbers wrong, the routers are going to kick and scream the whole time. So this is one of those, a little bit of planning is going to help a lot on this lab. Okay, so I have my lab, I have my packet tracer. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at what I'm asked to do. So I'm going to scroll down here to the next page. I'm going to need to subnet a given network to fit the map that's on the following page. So I'm going to scroll down one more time right here. And this map, as you notice, has no IP addresses, no ports, no nothing on. So we're going to need to come up with all this for this network. Well, while we're here, we're going to notice that there is one network here. This is a LAN, if you will. There is a WAN here between the two routers. And then there's another LAN over here. So you have three networks we have to worry about addressing, or three subnets in this case. So coming back up here, we're going to start filling in with a couple key pieces of information we need. So I'm going to open up my little text tool here, and I'm going to put in that we need three subnets. And the 172.16 by default is actually a /16, because that is a class B, and the default is actually 255.255.0.0. So that's what we're normally used to. But we're going to need to borrow bits to create at least three subnets. Now, it's up to you. You can borrow 2, 3, 4, 5 bits. It's really up to you. And actually, I encourage you, if you do the lab where you borrow 3 bits, I'm going to encourage you to go back and do it again where you borrow 4 bits. Something for additional practice. For this lab, I'm just going to borrow 3 bits. I'm going to keep it nice and simple, borrow 3 bits. So if I do that, I'm going to come over here. Let's alter this right off the bat. Well, normally, I would have, I'm going to write this out in binary down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure I have 8 in there. Yep. Back here. Dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Normally, that is my subnet mask in binary for this network. Since we are going to borrow 3, we're going to have 3 bits right here that become the borrowed bits. So my bit count over here goes up to /19. That's the 3 additional bits I borrowed. And this octet right here was going to go to 224 because I borrowed 3 bits. And actually, this octet right here, if I convert that into decimal, I'm going to get 224. So there's my new subnet mask. There is my bit count with my 3 bits borrowed. And right here, if I do 2 to the 3 bits borrowed, where is my, so there it is right there, 2 to 3 bits borrowed, I'm going to get 8 subnets. Now I have how many bits left? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 bits left. So I'm going to get 2 x to the y 13 addresses per subnet, which actually I'm going to do this to make sure I get the right. Ooh, get me open up my calculator. Oh, come on, calculator. I hit you. There we are. There's my calculator. So I'm going to go 2 x to the y 13, and we're going to end up with 8,192 addresses per subnet. 8,192 addresses per subnet, of which 8,190 addresses per subnet are usable. So there's my planning that I did a couple labs ago. And now that I have that, I can do the subnetting problem, if you will, that I did the lab after that. So with 3 bits borrowed, okay, I'm looking at this octet right here. This is my interesting octet. So I'm going to focus in on this one. I'll start with 0, and the interesting bit, 128, 64, 32. Here's the 32-bit place. That's the interesting bit. My subnets are going to go up by 32. So 0, 32, 64, 96, and so forth. Okay? That's enough to get me started. Now, if I were doing just the last octet, if I were doing a Class C and just focusing on the last octet, I would do my broadcast address. So 0 to 31 over here, 32 to 63, 64 to 95, and actually over here we have, if we keep going, 96 plus my 32, there is my 128, 160, okay, so 128, 160, so over here I have 127, and 159, and so forth. If I were just doing Class Cs, this would be my subnet ranges. But since we're doing Class B, remember this is the 3rd octet, we need the 4th octet tagged on. Well, luckily, if we remember our rule, for a subnetwork number, the host portion is all zeros. So these become this, 64.0, 96.0, because the host octet, get over here, host octet is all zeros. So that becomes pretty easy. Now the broadcast address is over here on the other end. Remember, the host portion for a broadcast address is all ones. So 255, 255, 255, 255, and 255, and so forth. That is my broadcast address for this subnet right here, this first subnet. Broadcast for this subnet, and so forth. Now I need the usables in the middle. Well, remember our odometer example in a car. If I'm driving down the road, the far right number is the one that increases. So over here, my subnet of 0.0, the usable address is going to be 0.1. The far right position has increased by 1. The usable here is going to be 32.1. Here is going to be 64.1. 96.1, and so forth. The host portion is increasing by a digit of 1, that far right octet, if you will. Okay. Now, the last usable is going to be 1 less than this over here. So again, we're not going to drive backwards a mile in my car, in your car. Don't do that. That's not safe. But pretend if you were. If I was going to drive backwards a mile in my car, the far right number theoretically would go down a mile. So over here, the far right number is going to go down a number. So I have 31 dot, instead of 255, it will be 254. Over here, 63.254. 95.254. 127.254. Again, the far right number is decreasing by 1, decrementing, decreasing by 1. Over here, 159.254, and so forth. So there is my network numbers for each subnet, the broadcast number for each subnet, and the usables in between. Now that I have that, and I'm going to save my file so I don't lose what I got. Now that I have that, I have enough figured out that I can actually start my map on the next page. So I'm going to scroll down here, and we're going to start making some notes on our map. And actually, this writing right here tells you exactly what I'm going to do. So if you're going to read, if you're reading through, that's what this is telling you to do. So I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to make note on my map of the 3 subnets I'm going to use. So I'm going to use, I'll come up here, I'm going to use 32.0, 64.0, and 96.0. I'll just use those 3. I could use the 00, but I'm going to use these 3 just so you can see I'm definitely doing subnetting with that, that 3rd octet. So 32.0, 64.0, and 96.0. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say this is the 32.0 subnet. Actually, let me put that over a little further. 32.0. This will be the 64.0. And this will be the 96.0 subnet. Now, the reason I do that is to keep myself organized. I know all the numbers over here now are going to come from this 32.0 subnet. All their numbers up here on this link are going to come from the 640 subnet. All the numbers over here on this right link, or this LAN, are going to come from the 960 subnet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, as I tell you in the text, I'm going to start assigning the router ports and things of those nature from the very first usables, and then I will deal with the hosts and other things in my network. So over here, this router up here, I'm also make him fast Ethernet 0/0. The IP address is going to be my 172.16.32.1. I'll make him the first usable. Subnet mask 255.255.224.0. And the bit count would be the /19 that I denoted up there earlier. So there would be that router port. If I come down here, these workstations are coming from this 32.0 subnet. Well, I'm not going to use 32.1 because that's the router, but maybe I'll start with like 32.10. 172.16.32.10, and then I can make this one next to it 32.11. Again, subnet mask 255.255.224.0, same subnet mask. Again, /19. Default gateway is the router I'm attached to, so this computer is attached to this router port right here, 32.1. So gateway 172.16.32.1. This IP 172.16.32.11. Subnet mask 255.255.224.0. /19 for the subnet mask. Remember, those two mean the same thing. And gateway 172.16.32.1. It's the router port I'm attached to. Okay? So that side is done. I can follow suit, and I'm also do the other side over here. I'm going to use the same format, if you will. This router has gigabit ports, so we'll make him gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0. That's what this router has, the gigabit 0/0/0. I will make him 172.16.96.1 from this subnet right here, 96.1. Subnet mask 255.255.224.0. And again, this would be a /19. Again, those two mean the same thing. Coming down here, the workstations down here need to come from this 96.0 subnet. So 172.16.96. Oh my goodness. Look at that weird typo-ness that I'm doing there. Let's fix that. Woo! That was like some kind of weird typo there. Alright, one. We'll fix that. There we go. 172.16.96.10. Subnet mask 255.255.224.0. /19 again. Default gateway is the router port I'm attached to. 96.1. That's the one I'm attached to right there. 172.16.96.1. This guy, 172.16.96.11. 255.255.224.0. /19. And again, the router port I'm attached to, this guy right here. 96.1. 172.16.96.1. Alright. So far, I have both LANs assigned, addresses and all. I now need to do these up here. Well, this is the 64.0 subnet. Okay, well, I'm using fast Ethernet 00 here. So we'll use fast Ethernet 0/1 here. And I'll use fast gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1 over here. IP here 172.16.64.1. Subnet mask 255.255.224.0. And again, /19. This side over here is going to be 172.16.64.2. I can use the next one online. 255.255.224.0 and /19. Excellent. Okay. What I'll do is I will save that so I don't lose my progress or my notes. When I come back in the next podcast, we'll start connecting into the routers and getting these configured.